Kids are born open and curious. Everything is new and anything is possible. We're creative, we're keyed into our emotions, we make connections, and we trust that we will be cared for. Then kids get hurt. The younger we are when it happens, the more we blame ourselves. So we change. We develop instincts, ideas, and habits in reaction to what happened to us, all of it aimed at keeping ourselves safe from further harm. And then if we're lucky, we grow up. Eventually, we realize that our old instincts, ideas, and habits have turned against us. Things we did to stay safe become harmful. Things that brought comfort become a source of pain. Things that used to bring us peace suddenly leave us feeling fractured, isolated, and angry. We try everything to make it better. Medication, therapy, exercise, diets, religion. Most things work, but only for a time. Eventually, those old habits and ideas roar back. And things get worse and worse and worse. Kelly Coffey, that's me, and Sue Jones have lived this cycle too. We are passionate about helping other women heal and break that crushing cycle of trauma and self-sabotage. We offer a program that Sue designed called TIMBo, Trauma-Informed Mind-Body, and we're opening a group just for listeners of the Trauma Mommas podcast. The group is exclusively for women, and it's limited to 15 participants. The group is 9 weeks long, and we're going to meet live for 90 minutes every week via Zoom starting Wednesday, May 11th at 11 a.m. Eastern. Join us to uncover, understand, and finally untangle yourself from the instincts, ideas, and habits that are keeping you stuck. Read more about this life-changing program and secure your spot by clicking the link in the show notes or emailing us at emailthemommas@gmail.com. Mommas is MOMMAS. These seats are going to fill up fast, so don't hesitate. Sign up now. We can't wait to see you in group.
I now know why I couldn't do all of these things. And my parents' response was, now you know, so can't you just move forward? And I'm like, no, because I'm still angry.
Hey there, gorgeous. Welcome. This is Kelly Coffey. I'm a personal trainer and wellness coach. And I am joined today on this podcast by the extra curious, mildly alarming, and not at all forgettable author and trauma expert, Sue Jones. Say hi, Sue.
Hi, Kelly.
I'm reaching hard and far for adjectives for you. They all don't even touch the glory.
Come on, you can reuse or just stop it.
Ooh, thank you for those two options.
I don't know if I'm late to the bandwagon here, but last night my wife and I found a show on Netflix called Sex, Love, and Goop. Have you seen it?
Yeah. I think that it's really interesting that there are people that you can go to who will actually put their hands on you.
I know. That's so crazy.
Yeah. I mean, if you haven't seen Sex, Love, and Goop, I feel like Gwyneth Paltrow is like Oprah. Like you either love her or you hate her. I think that she's sort of a cunning and baffling and creative business person. And like, if a guy did what Gwyneth Paltrow's doing, we would all just be like, look at him. That's amazing. But we tend to take aim at those who remind us of ourselves. So anyway, if you haven't watched the Goop special about sex on Netflix, I think it's actually worth watching.
It's interesting that you focused right in on Gwyneth Paltrow. Her presence wasn't even a consideration for me in watching it.
No.
But I was so fascinated by this energy sex thing.
Oh, yes. I haven't had
crazy.
Energy
I want to try that.
Have you? So you haven't had energy sex either?
I definitely want to try it. It's amazing looking.
I think it actually happens. I think you can actually feel tremendous pleasure without anyone actually having to touch your body. And I want to explore it too.
I work with a lot of survivors of sexual trauma. That's a potentially powerful doorway into feeling safer around sexual intimacy. All right, moving on. Let's get to our guest.
So I'll let her introduce herself. Jenny Lisa, will you please say hello?
Hi.
Hi, honey.
Hi.
Would you tell us a little bit about you?
Sure. I am a music therapist, and so I'm being a rock star all day when I can. And I have 2 kids who are exhausting me right now. What else about me do you think the good folks need to know?
Do you have a partner?
Oh, I do. I have a husband.
How can we help you today? What's going on?
What's my problem? You know what? I only recently learned what my problem has been all this time. I was diagnosed with ADHD at 45 years old, which is a relief and exhausting. I now have this entire life that I've led up until the last year where I just always thought something was wrong with me. And I haven't been able to kind of shake off constant feelings of what if and why didn't anyone see this?
Why didn't anyone see this? Or are you thinking of someone specifically?
I had a brother who was running in circles. He was so easy to diagnose. And then another one who was a little harder to diagnose, but it was definitely there. And then I was pretty much told that I needed to try a little harder and focus a little bit more. And let's go way back. I think when I was 10, my folks had me tested because school is a real struggle. And they said, well, maybe she has a learning disability or something. And they came back and said, oh, no, actually, look at this. You are very smart. So why aren't you trying? How come you're not getting the grades that you should be getting? Because we have these test results that say you can. I didn't know why I wasn't getting them. I didn't know why I couldn't read a book.
So they were testing you for IQ, but not testing you for ADHD?
The testing was just to see if I had a learning disability.
And how did your parents respond?
There were some groundings around bad grades. Basically, every report card was a panic situation because I knew I was going to be in trouble. I thought I was dumb. I called a meeting, which I thought was, at the time, it was terrifying, but I was just panicking about even going to my English class. And I asked them to drop me down to the other class. And they did, but everything was a struggle. And looking back on it, all of the things that I was in trouble for were things that I now know if we had known what was going on with me, I could have had the help, I could have had the support, and I really needed it.
So you mentioned that you're waking up every night with, I don't remember how you described it, maybe anxiety or feelings of regret or what my life could have been. But I'm wondering if there's feelings of resentment. In how you're describing this, I'm hearing, I was told I was not working to my full potential. I felt like I was stupid. And now that you have this diagnosis and in your mind, you're like, well, that's why school was so hard for me. What the hell? Like, I believed all of these things that people were saying. And now you're telling me that I have this diagnosis and it wasn't me being some sort of failure. There was an actual reason for it.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And when I first got diagnosed, first I'm like, yeah, this is amazing. There's a reason why all these things are happening. And then anger sets in. Like, why didn't anyone know this? Why didn't anyone help me? And when I told my mom about it, her first thought was, oh, maybe I have ADHD. I was like, no, me. Let's look at this. I now know why I couldn't do all of these things. And my parents' response was, now you know. So can't you just move forward? And I'm like, no, because I'm still angry.
So you are coming to us to help you unravel your anger?
I think so. It doesn't feel good.
Do you feel it in your body?
Yeah. Even just now, my stomach is clenching up.
If you've ever heard of the TED Talk called Does Education Kill Creativity by Sir Kenneth Robinson, it's amazing. And ADHD or no, the way that our education system is set up is to cater to a very small percentage of students that actually learn in one particular way. And your story is so familiar to me. Like everything that you're saying, I experienced. Why are you getting bad grades? Why can't you work harder? You're not working to your full potential. This is interesting to me. What it feels like to me is that, yes, this may be about your experience in school, but I'm feeling that there's something underneath there that this particular experience in life right now is unearthing. And it feels like it has something to do with resentment. Could have to do with brothers being treated differently than you. Could have to do with like parents not seeing you, just saying, do better, and you're grounded if you don't. Anything in there resonate?
100%. My brothers are 4.5 and 9 years younger than me. They were also basketball stars. And my parents went to every game, and their basketball playing was the most important thing in the family. And there was a lot of focus on them. I know that my parents were really supportive of my music, but the sports stuff was something where there was, I don't know if clout is the word.
What I'm hearing is that you felt that what you did in school, music, was not as valued as what your brothers did, and that they had more value or more worth because they were into sports.
Yes.
As you were growing up, there was this feeling that there was a discrepancy in worth. Your brothers had more worth than you. And there's a way that this AD&D diagnosis ties into it.
I love that Sue just called it an AD&D. Like,
did I?
A Dungeons and Dragons, amorphous Dungeons and Dragons diagnosis. So it sounds to me like you perceived an unequal distribution of love or attention or resources or empathy, maybe all of it.
I don't question that the love was there. And I feel really lucky that I can recognize that and see that. But my stuff was not the focus in the house.
May I ask, has anything that has happened recently with your two kids kicked up any feelings about you at that age?
Oh, 100%. Once I'm diagnosed, I look at my daughter and I say, this child is about to slip through the way that I did. And I panicked immediately. I just, my stomach is doing that thing again. I flooded right back to struggling and trying to figure out how I could do school. And I was like in my 5th grade classroom again. And I wanted so badly for that kiddo not to go through what I went through in school.
When you think about the you in your 5th grade classroom, what kind of feelings come to you?
My face is doing that shaky thing when I'm trying to smile and not cry, and my eyes are welling because not only was it so hard for me, but I was so scared that my kid would feel the way that I felt.
If you were to name in just 1 or 2 words the experience that you had in 5th grade, what would those words be?
Panic. I was always so scared that I was doing everything wrong. And I was too scared to ask for clarification or for help because I already thought everyone else was so much smarter than I was.
So there was a feeling of being different and not being as good as.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
In the work that Kelly and I do in our TIMBo groups, we have a chapter on resentment. And we started this conversation about, oh yeah, this feels like resentment. I'm resentful that my parents did not take an interest in why I might be having trouble and that they were focusing on my brothers and their sports accomplishments. And here I am falling through the cracks. And imagine what my life could have been. So when we talk about resentment, we talk about how it's kind of a cover for grief. Grief and resentment are not that dissimilar in the sense that they're both responses to experiences that we wish had never happened or wish weren't happening, but that we are powerless to change. But resentment gives us a false sense of power and control. And grief is just a pure surrender to the fact that whatever happened or whatever's happening just is what it is. And as I listen to your experience, I felt other, and I didn't have to feel other if I had had this diagnosis. And that is worth grieving, because there's probably a lot of choices you made and actions you took from that self-belief that would have been different. Like you said, my life would have been different.
Yeah, I think there are over the years, a lot of chances I didn't take because I wasn't confident that I would be able to figure out how to do things, jobs I didn't apply for.
In regards to helping you with this anger that you have around this diagnosis, which we're sort of deconstructing it, right? The anger is the resentment. The resentment is really the grief over the fact that there was a reason why you were struggling in school. Nobody had an interest in really understanding what it was. Instead, all the focus went to your brothers and the amazing things they were doing with basketball. And then you were just getting messages that you weren't good enough, you weren't working hard enough. This is just a lazy kid.
I think of resentment like imagining that if you hate something that happened enough, you can time travel back and change it. Like, I'm going to hate this undone. I'm going to hate it so much, it's not going to have happened the way that it happened. And grief as sort of just an acceptance of the reality of the situation, which feels a lot less empowering in the moment, but is the only reasonable way forward.
When you said lazy, I felt it from the top of my head. It went right through my body. That is the word that everybody used to describe me.
I mean, that is a traumatic experience, being so profoundly misunderstood, not really seen for who you are and what you're going through. The thing that came to mind when I was listening to Kelly was also part of that resentment is I want the people that are responsible for that experience to fucking apologize. Like, I want them to say, I was wrong. Not that you don't love your mother and you don't have a good relationship, but it could be very healing for you if she were to say, honey, I am so sorry that we didn't know this when you were in 5th grade and that we were telling you you were lazy.
I have thought that so many times. When I told my mom and my dad, all I wanted them to say was, honey, I wish we knew then what we know now. And I wish we could have helped keep you from feeling that pain and perpetual discomfort. I always had a knot in my stomach, and I just needed those words.
So on a practical level, you can ask for them to say those words, because your mom making it about her, it's just the way her brain works. But if you were to say, it would be so meaningful to me to hear these words from you, and then put it in quotes and even let her read it if she needs to. Just hearing those words, even if you ask for them specifically, can have a profoundly positive impact on how you feel.
I do have the kind of relationship with my parents where I can say, I kind of need to hear that you wish that you could have taken that hurt away.
Would you be willing to try something with us? It can be incredibly therapeutic and helpful to give ourselves the opportunity to say what we would never say in person about the experience we had. And I'm wondering if you could say to them, unfiltered, right now, what the experience was. What would you say to them?
Why didn't you see how hard it was for me? There's so many places where we could have worked together, and I felt like a failure all the time. I felt like I was letting everyone down all the time. What I was struggling with didn't make sense to you, so you didn't see me. I wasn't lazy. I just didn't know how to do it.
You came into this call saying you were angry, and I don't hear anger in those words.
Yeah. I can see the hurt on their faces at knowing that they had failed me. And it's really hard even pretending to tell them that they screwed up, but they did screw up.
We hold ourselves back from expressing that anger, but in doing so, we keep it stuck inside of us. It's only when we express the anger in a safe and appropriate way and in a safe and appropriate environment that we actually push through that anger and hit the grief. You had decades of life experience based on the foundational belief that you were just stupid and lazy. I've got my eyes on the prize, which is we want to help you start to get some relief from this anger that's waking you up at night.
May I offer, as a personal trainer and someone who has tremendous rage, when the words won't come, because like when I stopped drinking, the words didn't come. The anger couldn't flow as easily. As a sober person, if I'm in one of those resentment places, if I'm in rage, if I'm in anger, I can express it in a way that feels like I'm getting it out. Sometimes that has been hitting shit. I have a heavy bag in my studio. Lifting weights can be an incredible way to express anger in a like super empowering, pushing the boundaries kind of a way. I absolutely see the value in being able to put it all into words. But if you're finding you're having trouble with that, see what you can do about expressing it with your body.
I think I might need to spend a little bit of time screaming into the void.
I hear what you're saying, Kelly, and I get it, right? Like it's kind of getting this energy out and to work through a grief process so that it's cleared out of your body is to find compassion for that fifth grade Jenny, not the 40-some-year-old Jenny, the 10-year-old Jenny that believed something was wrong with her. She was different. She wasn't good enough. She wasn't like the other kids. She was lazy. That is where you access that self-compassion. Anger is the shell that you got to break through in order to get to that grief. And that grief is so intricately tied to that compassionate awareness of the 10-year-old Jenny that just believed what people told her, because that's what kids do. I do like what Kelly said, asking for an apology from your parents. You can't underestimate the value of an apology even 40, 50 years later.
Craft that apology to be exactly what you want to hear. Because I think that if you hear exactly what you want to hear from them, ask them to own the mistakes that they made and the impact that it had, I think that that's going to bring you so much closer to that 10-year-old and make it so much easier to access compassion for that 10-year-old.
I think that my parents can handle it. I do. I feel like if I sit down with them and say, I have something I really want to talk about, but it's hard, I think we can do it. And I can sit down and say in a sequenced way, like, I need you to listen instead of getting reactive. And I've been trying so hard to do what my mom said, which was, okay, now you know, can you just move forward? Yeah, Ma, I can do that, but here's what I need to do first.
I'll need your help in order to move forward. Are you willing to help me?
It's important to keep in mind with your parents, especially your mom. I'm sure you can resonate as a mom that she's going to have feelings of guilt and responsibility, and those are going to be really difficult for her. So I think it would be really helpful to let her know that she didn't do anything wrong. You just want to tell her your experience. And I will tell you, I had a conversation with my father that I needed to have 40 years after an experience I had with him. And the most beautiful and helpful thing he said to me is, I just want to listen to you. I want you to unburden yourself. And that's what you need your mom to say. I want to listen. I want you to unburden yourself.
Yeah.
There'll be some tears.
I think we're all strong enough to do it. I think this is a conversation that has the potential to really be a game changer.
I 100% agree. And I think that is your window into the grief, because it sounds like you have a good relationship with your parents. And that is the pathway through healing, is that grief. That anger, it will dissolve.
And you might warm up to the conversation with your parents by going to a drum kit and playing out some Rush songs. Just saying.
And maybe I will do that.
And if you wanted to record it and send it to me, and then I can put your drums as the intro to a Trauma Mommas episode that happens in the future when we give an update about how your conversation went with your folks, that wouldn't suck.
It sounds perfect. Jenny, I hope we were a little bit helpful at least.
This was 100% helpful. I feel it in my body. I feel some relief in my body.
Awesome.
Nice. All right, Jenny Lisa, thank you so much, sweetheart, for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And send us a recording of that Rush solo, please and thank you. All right, bye, Jenny Lisa.
Bye.
That was awesome. I'm really happy that Jenny Lisa came on. That's a little different from the kind of conversation that we usually have, but I know that so many people are going to be able to relate to that. And I love that we got a chance to share the tool of really seriously asking for what you need. Hearing the words out of the mouth that you need to hear them out of can shift and change so much of what we experience emotionally.
When I was about to publish There's Nothing to Fix, there's a story in there about me and my dad. And my editor was like, you're going to have to talk to your dad and let him know that this is in the book. And this is something that was never talked about. So I was terrified. We had this conversation and we were both crying. It was so powerful and he was so amazing. And I am telling you, my relationship with him completely changed from that conversation forward. I have this heart connection with my dad now. The only regret and sadness that I have is that it didn't happen much, much sooner. Powerfully healing to have those conversations.
As the trauma mama with the dead dad, I'm going to strongly recommend that if you feel like you might benefit from having one of those conversations, don't hesitate on that. Do it now, today. Make the phone call, send the email, set the wheel in motion to have that conversation, because there will come a point, if it hasn't already come for you, when you can't.
And if you need help, come on the show as a guest. We got you.
We got you.
All right. Great spending time with you as always, Kelly.
As always, Miss Sue, thank you so much. Go hit the website, thetraumamommas.com, and sign up for our wait list for TIMBo. It's once a week for 9 weeks. It's 90 minutes long. It's a group of amazing, dynamic, interesting women all coming together to support each other and hold space for each other. It's unlike anything else you could ever experience. And pick up a copy of Sue's book, There's Nothing to Fix. Check out my free masterclass, Coffee's 4-Step System to Lose Weight Without Losing Yourself, which you can also read more about on the website, thetraumamommas.com.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thanks, Sue. Take good care, honey. Same bat time, same bat channel next week. Bye for now.
You bet.
Kids are born open and curious. Everything is new and anything is possible. We're creative, we're keyed into our emotions, we make connections, and we trust that we will be cared for. Then kids get hurt. The younger we are when it happens, the more we blame ourselves. So we change. We develop instincts, ideas, and habits in reaction to what happened to us. All of it aimed at keeping ourselves safe from further harm. And then if we're lucky, we grow up. Eventually, we realize that our old instincts, ideas, and habits have turned against us. Things we did to stay safe become harmful. Things that brought comfort become a source of pain. Things that used to bring us peace suddenly leave us feeling fractured, isolated, and angry. We try everything to make it better. Medication, therapy, exercise, diets, religion. Most things work, but only for a time. Eventually, those old habits and ideas roar back. And things get worse and worse and worse. Kelly Coffey, that's me, and Sue Jones have lived this cycle too. We are passionate about helping other women heal and break that crushing cycle of trauma and self-sabotage. We offer a program that Sue designed called TIMBo, Trauma-Informed Mind-Body. and we're opening a group just for listeners of the Trauma Mommas podcast. The group is exclusively for women, and it's limited to 15 participants. The group is 9 weeks long, and we're going to meet live for 90 minutes every week via Zoom starting Wednesday, May 11th at 11 a.m. Eastern. Join us to uncover, understand, and finally untangle yourself from the instincts, ideas, and habits that are keeping you stuck. Read more about this life-changing program and secure your spot by clicking the link in the show notes or emailing us at emailthemommas@gmail.com. Mommas is MOMMAS. These seats are going to fill up fast, so don't hesitate. Sign up now. We can't wait to see you in group.